Sandy, would you like to introduce our lovely Lorraine Trenholm?
Yes.
Thank you. And then I'm gonna record once I get my shit together. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Michael.
Mute. That was the problem with my phone, only it was in the car. Thank you for calling it, but it didn't do any good out there. Fortunately, I have a scrap of memory left.
Really? Would you share it?
So, I've had the pleasure of getting to know Lorraine a little bit since yesterday, and she has come up from around Ignacio, Colorado, which is, she can explain is a far piece.
It's about 10 miles north of the New Mexico border.
So really nice of her to drive all the way up here to do a demo, and we really appreciate it. So I'll read you the little bio, and then I'm going to add a little bit from the other bio. So she was born in New York, attended Pratt Institute as a painting major, moved to Colorado in 2004, where she does studio and plein air painting of the Southwest, and teaches classes and workshops in pastel and oil painting. Her award-winning paintings have earned her signature membership in 4 pastel societies, master circle status with IAPS, and her paintings are in private collections in the U.S. and abroad. And she helped to found, excuse me, the Pastel Painters Society of Cape Cod, and served as vice president and national show chair. Juried in as a signature member, her pastels have received many awards, including Best of Show in national competitions. What do I want to read about it? Well, I think, and she ends up on this bio saying, I love experimenting with materials, oriental papers, jewelry findings, pastels, oils, encaustics, watercolors, to create images and light effects in paintings of dogs, horses, and landscapes. So this accounts for the wealth of materials she's brought with her to paint with.
This is just the tip of the iceberg.
So we welcome Lorraine, and thanks for coming.
I'm gonna cry. It's really an honor to be asked to do a demo. I hope I don't flunk. Anyhow, before I try something, and I'm trying to, here's the beginning of one. That's on the paper with the gesso.
Oh, wow.
You know, and it's not finished.
Lorraine, have you tried the pumice, you know, the gel pumice on those
We
papers?
were the originators in the late 90s of getting the stuff from the hardware store and mixing it with gesso.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I have that. I have everything. And I'm not afraid to try anything. I mean, I've done gold leafing, I've done magic marker. Oh, here's one. Oh, this, you'd get a kick out of this one. Here, see if I can find it.
Lorraine, how many layers do you think, or do you
A lot.
A lot?
That little one I just showed you, I've been tickling it during my class when I teach, so it has a lot, and it isn't finished, and I could go more, and it's just wonderful, and it's just, I love it. And this is photography paper that nobody wanted to use, so I just use it because it doesn't transmit to pastel. So, if you want to try something else, start your picture with a magic marker. So, this is a magic marker, a big fat one. Look at this thing, it's just fabulous. You can start it with a magic marker. You can do all kinds of sketches. You can add colors to it, or not. I mean, here's a bunch of rain paintings that. Oh, and there's another one here.
Looks like it's toned.
It is. It's Strathmore, and Casey Kahn had one when he came to do the workshop at my house, and I had to have it. You know, gotta have it. But this is magic marker, and isn't this fun? And then you can do all kinds of things with it. There's one more, let's see if I can skip through here really fast. Oh, yeah, so this was another one that I finally ended up doing a big one out of. And they disappear, I don't have any of them anymore.
Do you put your sketchbook on easel or do you work flat? Flat.
Yeah, flat, you're right, absolutely. This is another, that was done with magic marker too, that one. And it's just fun. You can just block things in really strong and do anything you want. And
Do you know what weight that paper is in
the heavy duty one,
that you put the gesso on?
the only thing I don't like about this sketchbook is it absolutely is a bear. Turn the pages. Because the spiral has to be in the right place or it won't close. I'm trying to look for.
But it'll lay flat if you get it.
It'll lay flat, but it won't close. I'm just looking to see, there is no identifying, it's gotta be strapped
Is
or
it
who
on the
knows?
back cover? There was some, maybe it's.
It's not very plain.
All right, I'm gonna get my composure, and I'm just gonna say there is nothing written anywhere on this sketchbook anymore, if there ever was.
It's like putting it back together.
Well, let me see, I think it goes this way. This is how it goes.
Yeah, it's not a big
Yeah, that I don't really care, it's fabulous stuff. Big old newsprint, rough newsprint. Do not make the mistake of going to the store and getting smooth newsprint. You'll be severely disappointed. However, this stuff is great to work out. I'm just going to show you some. This thing's been around forever. Anyhow, some odd. Okay, I did this 5 times, and this is the newsprint version. Okay? There's an abstract version that I showed down in New Mexico, but it went from this to 2 realistic ones, a small one and a big one, and then it went to a semi-abstract version, and then there was a really severe abstract version. It's about 8.5 by 12 inches. But look at that. That's newsprint. I mean, look at what you can do on this
Did you
stuff.
spray it? after-
No, this is not sprayed. Can you tell? I don't care. It's a scrap. This is a workbook. But look at the density you can get on newsprint after layers. So, take a couple more, and then we'll migrate.
I never realized there was smooth and rough newsprint.
Oh, yeah. I found out.
Yeah.
Some of these I do dog portraits, so I'll sketch them out before I paint them up, in pastel, or oil, or collage. Let's see. Yeah, this one was hard, I'm almost finished with it. She gave me 6 photographs. All of the photographs were the dogs, 1 by 1. None of them included 2 dog heads. So they were all Salukis, and my problem was to make them the right proportion to each other, to be next to each other on the piece of paper I was doing the oil painting on. It's a 16 by 20, and it's coming out fine. But in the beginning, it was very challenging just to get the size right. And I ended up, when I finally got the sizes, I took tracing and traced my drawings, and then transferred them to a final sheet of tracing. I just traced them all up to make sure that they worked and get the composition. And then transferred my tracing to the piece of paper, a piece of masonite panel. It's great, this stuff makes the water drip down here. Don't do this in the summer, it's really uncomfortable.
You know about those finger cots? A company in Colorado Springs sells?
That's the severely damaged finger. It won't tolerate pressures, and look at me, soggy. Anyhow, yeah, these are, not glycerin, what do they call it? Silicone. And they're really good. They really, I mean, I can't feel a thing, and this poor finger is brutalized. Anyhow, anytime you take pictures, this is what happens. You get this bleached out, and the sand is very light, but you can see what's going on in the shade. And that is something you should be aware of, because you can do it yourself. And because cell phones make everything normal, it's hard to get them to, it's like like cameras used to be able to set it so that it didn't do this. Hey, so I'm going to use this because it's an Arroyo in, it's actually Utah, I'm sorry. It's slick rock, and then the rest in between is all that sandy stuff. So you can go there and you can drive around and find, mostly we park where other people have camped because they've already built the fire pit. And if you park your camper on a piece of slick rock, if it rains, at least you can step out and not be in the mud. You're not guaranteed you're going to get out of there. And I like, it took me a long time to admit this, but I've analyzed a lot of other people's art, and it took me a long time to figure out what makes everybody's art their art. And I think when you look at a Richard McKinley or a Casey Klein or a Jen Evenhouse or whatever, or a Gail Sibley, you can tell it's theirs because of the way they paint, their strokes. And I call it their calligraphy because it's how your hand moves that creates your strokes. So what I like to do, and I've had my students do this, it's a lot of fun. You take this big piece of paper and you put it up somewhere on an easel. Oops, you gotta stay there. And you do your calligraphy. Kind of like your signature. What kind of marks do you like to make? Do you like to do painted marks? Do you like to do pointed marks? Do you like to use choppy little strokes? Do you like to do, whatever you like to do, practice it. Find out, experiment. And, mine, I like to do this. And it's almost like handwriting. So if you try it out, get back there, figure it out. And I don't really have a style. I just paint, and I figured out that the way I mule haul the stuff around is going to make it become whatever it is. So one of the things you can do, where did it go? Oh, here it is. Sometimes it's fun to start with a little vine charcoal. And the reason for that is it goes away. You can do a sketch and you can wipe it off. Let's see, how are we going to do this? And I might babble a lot before and after, but I'm kind of a quiet painter.
Yeah.
I think I choose Susan. Why do I want to call you Susan?
Oh, me?
Sandy's ear off last night. Anyhow, there's the start. You like that? that fun? That's great, I just love it. So, and I'm changing the composition a little, obviously, because I'm not, this takes you right out of there, and I'm trying to bring it back. But as you can see, it's kind of like my calligraphy. And then you can always my box of tricks. Let's see if this is the Stadler eraser, and
The white vinyl.
it's white. And you can actually, I have taken this eraser, maybe this one, and erased whole pieces of pastel paper, sanded pastel paper.
Wow.
And you get a faint tint, but you can go back to look at that. Wow. There it is, right there. There's my eraser. Taking the pastel, and this isn't sanded paper, but you kind of have to clean it off periodically, but you can erase sanded paper. And once you get over the fact and admit that nothing is really precious, you can have a lot of fun. I like having fun with my art. So many other things are torturing us. You know, my sick dog, sometimes it's money, sometimes it's whatever. But, so you can go in your studio and you can kind of abandon yourself to having fun. And I also believe, I teach my students very classic pastel beginning. I have 3 exercises that I get them all to do in the beginning that are pretty classical. They teach you how to, I have them paint either blocks, AKA Henry Henchy, who I studied with, or fruit. And one of my students she was so funny about this. She got this fruit. It's synthetic, but it's so realistic that I could stop buying fruit to bring to class that would go bad or be different the next time. So we have this fruit. We have grapes, we have apples, 2 kinds, we have lemon, we have an orange. I mean, we got a good collection. So, yeah, fruit. So I teach them using either the blocks, which we painted a set of blocks out of cut up 2x4s. The first thing you do is you do it with the side of your pastel. It's pretty clear, you paint with the side. Teach people to paint with the side of your pastel because it's like a paintbrush. We're not drawing. First thing everybody does when they come to class is they think you're drawing. It makes me so upset. So I cancel that right away. We paint like a paintbrush. The second thing we do is we scribble. And I'm not kidding. I get them out there and I say, I want you to scribble like that. And like this. And I don't want you to worry about the white spaces in between. I want you to mix the colors with each other by scribbling them over each other. So I get them to scribble. And we create a piece of fruit by scribbling. And we mix the colors by scribbling. Okay. The last thing I allow them to do, and I say allow because it's the least thing I want them to do, is to blend and smush all the colors. Because when you do that, you take those beautiful little crystals of pastel and smush them into the paper, and you lose all the luminosity. But for the first couple layers, it's okay. I don't know. But it's nice to, it's the same thing that I apply to the idea of using fixative, that if you want to use fixative, I recommend this stuff, this Spectrafix, only because it doesn't darken the pastel. I also recommend that you can break all the rules you want and do anything you want. I like to not use it till at the end. I like to end, I'll do tons of things all in the middle of painting, but then the end, Spectrafix.
Thank you.
The end result is that I want fresh pastel on the top of my painting. I have had the situation where I will spray either the alcohol-based fixatives like you get in the can, or even this, and I put too much on, it soaks into the picture, and the underlayers of pastel come through and discolor what's under there. Like if I were to take, well, say I took this blue and put maybe light pink over it, and then fixed it, the blue might come through, and if you have some hard lines and stuff, it destroys the effect. This is alcohol. You can use the vodka or you can use alcohol. It doesn't matter whether it's 90 or 70%, but we like to use it either by spraying it on or brushing it on. I'm sure you've all probably done this where you just put it on and cement the bottom layer so that it doesn't move. When I discovered that, I thought it was a gift from heaven, because I could take this beautiful color when it was thicker pastel and put it on there, and it would go over the dark colors. And our favorite, one of my favorite things is to get on here with oil paint, thin down, and then put heavy colors on it in pastel over it. Or alcohol, brush it on and then put heavy colors. So let's see, we're gonna do some fun. I don't know whether I want it to be that or that. Let's try this. And this is a pretty standard way to block things in. I don't know where I got it from. You can also use, you can do alcohol, paint thinner, or water. You can use water. We're going to use this. The only thing I don't like about wearing gloves is it doesn't spread the pastel out like your fingers do. It's just not the same. However, we live with it. Let's see. So one of the things that I got involved in at a workshop I took from somebody was they sent us out into it was an online workshop, and this is the advantage of having an online workshop. They said to go out in the landscape and do sketches. And then when you came in from being out, you were to work from your sketches and do your paintings, but you were not to work from photographs. So what happened in the translation from working in, I would go out in the landscape. I was doing vine charcoal sketches, and then I would come back to my studio and do color. And I think I was doing them small. And it was great fun. And what the object was was to paint from your own stuff, not to paint from the photos. Because you already made one transition when you went out in the landscape and looked at what was going on out there. And I'm not a plein air painter. I get hysterical when I try to paint outside. Honest to God, because everything keeps changing. And having studied with Henry for 2 years, it's like, every 2 hours all the shadows are different. You have to go start another painting. And Henry's great thing was, if you're doing a painting and you get completely stuck, start another one. And he was adamant. You would, so we did these sketches of blocks. He let me out of blocks after 6 weeks, which everybody who was studying with him said, that never happens. Henry always makes everybody stay on blocks for several years. I said, well, I got to still lifes. So they had a collection about on a wall about that big, and it was all bottles and still life objects and statues and all these things you could paint. And we got into that. So. This is very liberating. It is, very liberating. I keep going to this box because I don't need it. Oh. Got hurt. I hurt it too.
The pad is really beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a fabulous impressionist painting.
Yes.
My students, every time I was like, oh, you ought to do a painting just like that. But yeah, it's just the way it happens. So yeah, when we studied with Henry, first you did blocks, then you did still lifes, then you got permission to go out in the dunes. And, but it's every 2 hours. You can't paint on anything longer than 2 hours, because it just all goes away. And he's right. We used to do shadow studies. And oddly enough, when I went to the Arnold Arboretum and took landscape courses that they offered as night classes and stuff, we did shadow studies, and it was odd because it was the same thing. You had to go out somewhere and pick a spot, and I think it was every 2 hours, you went out and drew where the shadows were. And you watched the progression of it moving across the landscape. And it was very enlightening, and they all worked, so the painting worked with the shadow studies from the landscape courses, and it was educational. That's all I'm gonna say. But I was with Henry in the 80s. Then he died. That was disconcerting. We didn't count on him dying, but everybody, everybody's terminal, so. We're all put here, and then one day we're not here anymore. Where am I going with this? Blink.
Did you put clear gesso on that UART paper?
No, I didn't bring the clear gesso. I restrained myself. I really wanted to bring my whole studio. It was really difficult. So I selected some things, and I did it really fast and lingered over some other things and just said, Lorraine, you can't bring your whole studio, so you better just bring what you can. So I did. And I left on the clear gesso, and here I am again in this box. And some other things that I might have liked to have, but I really don't need them. I might not even use everything that I brought. So everybody knows that pink is a cool color, right? Does everybody know that?
Cool. It's
pink is a cool color, as in temperature. It's not a warm color. So everybody, when they first come to pastel classes, they think that pink is a warm color. And then they find out, not a warm color. It's blue mixed with red, with light red. So you get,
Does it have more red in it than blue?
well, I'm thinking whether, probably, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
Most pinks, because this obviously is not a pink because it has more blue in it than red. It's more like a magenta that's diluted. Well, all right, we can keep you here. All right. Get back in there. Okay, so this is fun. It's not coming out the way I had thought it might, but that's okay. Oh, I don't want that.
Do you paint every day almost? or-
No, I wish I did. Sometimes I get on a little bender and I do, but I do the bookkeeping for my husband's plumbing business. We have 75 acres and there's some stuff that has to be done there. I have 9 Salukis. One of them is presently trying to die. And,
What do you have, 9 what?
Salukis. They're Arabian coursing hounds, and if you Google Saluki, there's a gazillion photographs. Just Google Saluki images, and you'll see they have feathered, they have smooth, and they come in any color or combination of colors. They come with spots and dots and grizzle pattern and all this other stuff, and they're great. And they were originally bred to hunt gazelles on the desert in the Middle East. And the rich sheiks still do that if they own their own gazelles. If they don't own a preserve with gazelles on it, they have to content themselves with either hunting a stuffed gazelle attached to the back of a pickup truck. I'm not kidding, and you can go online on YouTube. You want to see this, you can go there and watch. And the young Arabian, Saudi young guys have taken this on as an event, and what they do is they have a gazelle that's stuffed, and they attach it by a pole out here on the side of the pickup truck, so it's not right behind the pickup truck, it's out here. And they start the pickup truck and they let a whole pack of dogs loose. When we do it in this country, we only run 3 dogs. And they follow in their 4-wheel equipment, whatever it is. It could be a Land Rover, it could be a Nissan, it could be, and you see it and it's unbelievable. I mean, I'm kind of insulted by the fact that they have switched from, we do it on foot, but some people in this country have taken to using those side-by-side things, and it was originally done with sheiks on horseback who had a falcon on their wrist, and a guy who walked alongside with 2 Salukis, or 2 or 3 Salukis. When the game was sighted, they would turn the falcon loose, and the dogs would go, and they would maybe bring it down. Usually, I think they usually probably got killed. We don't usually get one because the rabbits are too smart and they go in the mesquite. So yeah, and it was more of a traditional, and they ate what they caught. They ate what they caught. It was a feast, honor. So you know, modern times, and we have Land Rovers and SUVs and all that, and they've changed how they do it, and they put it on YouTube and whatever. But beautiful dogs. Why is it every color I use is not the right color? There's something weird here. I wanted more of a value range in what I brought, and like I said, I didn't get a chance to put. Here's one of those little tiny pieces that you can barely hold on to, but look at that, it's the right value.
That's how you know your favorites.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that where Okay. What color does that look like to you?
Blue, purple. Very blue.
What color does that look like to you now? Purple, right? Get back over here. What color does it look like to you now? Now it looks like it's blue. There are 2 or 3 colors that do this, the purple and the blue. This is the blue purple or a purple blue, take your pick. But right there, I should bring them all out at the same time. So one makes it look purple and one makes it look, that's not good. They have to be the same value to get it. Oh, here's a better one. There. From here it's blue, from here it's purple. Take your pick. So I put it in the blue this day for today, but actually when I'm in the blue there, it looks purple. If I put it over there. So colors play tricks. They are whatever color they are in relationship to whatever color they're next to. And that is a really important lesson that everybody needs to learn. Probably learn more from listening to me babble than listening to me paint. Than watching me paint. I'm just so used to teaching, I just talk all the time. And this, what happens here is they get stuck in the glove.
And now for a little music break.
Cool. You're very persistent.
Do your marks change as you get towards the end of the painting?
I don't know. Do they? Have they been? I don't, I'm not really paying attention. I'm trying to do anything that makes sense, because otherwise you get lost. And I really want to work on that tree. I want to put the tree in, but I'm kind of trying to build up some sort of background for it here. And I like this southwest. I want to get this southwest effect of the jagged and that means that I really have to fix this even though it's against my principles. Like this. And don't ever use your fingers to do finger blending. And the first rule is break them all. Once you learn the rules, that's what I tell my students, is you learn these rules and then do whatever you want. As long as you make the painting work, it doesn't matter. And it really won't hurt. Because every time I explain about finger blending, I talk about the Charmin toilet tissue commercial on the back of the Saturday Evening Post, and I don't know how many of you remember that. You must have some of you must have seen the little kid with his pants being pulled down by the Scotty or West Highland White Terrier and the toilet paper, anyhow. And it's all done in really soft. It looks like somebody took pastels and just went to all the edges. Anyhow, it's cute. And I bring that up and I say, remember this? And on this, most of my students are over 65, so yeah, a lot of them remember. And, well, who else can come out between 1:30 and 4 o'clock on a Wednesday? If they don't have a doctor's appointment. And I'm not kidding, because that's what stops them from coming. They have to have a doctor's appointment, and the only day in the whole week that the doctor can take them on is on Wednesday between 1:30 and 4 o'clock, when their pastel class is supposed to be going on. So, what are you going to do? That's why the way I run my classes is you pay me for 4 classes, and you come to 4 classes. And I keep attendance. And if you skip a week, I mean, I don't say there's no absent, there's none of this, you pay for 4 classes, and at the end of the month, if you didn't come to one, you lose your money. No, I'm always there, I'm always going to teach, and they can come, and they get to come whether they are, whether it's 4 weeks in a row or every other week. I don't care. So long as they want to play, I'll play. So, but yeah, that whole thing about, boy, this is getting to be a really blue and orange painting. Do we want to kill some of that blue? How about doing something else we're not supposed to do? Let's use this. Maybe I don't want to do that. Well, let's do it anyhow.
I have a question. Earlier you said for each painting you pick one color, one dominant color. Have you done that?
No, that was that series.
Oh, that series, okay.
That series
That
of
was
8x6s.
Okay.
And like I said, they're small, so what happened was, yes, that worked for that series, and then I found when I tried to make them bigger, these didn't always work. And I'm about to try to dissect that and figure out why. Why is it I can do little paintings and have a dominant color and big spaces of color and all this stuff, and then I go to do a larger version of it, and for some reason it just isn't happening. I don't know why.
Because you may have too much of a bigger area of the same color.
I don't know, but here, I'll show you one.
Break down.
Unfortunately, it's another, I was gonna bring a picture. Settle for showing you myself. There's a painting that I really, 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 really like. I did it as a demo for one of my students. It took me about 10 minutes. It was a 6x8, and nobody else likes it. Oh, I will tell you something else. Some of my favorite pieces that I absolutely love, nobody likes it.
Really?
Wow.
We do.
Yeah.
There's your, oops,
It's lovely.
wait a minute. There it is.
Very nice. Thank you.
6x8. But, and it's just red, black, yellow, green, a little turquoise, purple. Sorry.
The right person hasn't seen it yet, that's all.
Well, I tried entering it in the small work show for Colorado last December, and it didn't get in.
Oh, well, that happened to more than one of us.
I tried entering it in something else for some other show. Oh, New Mexico, and they didn't like it either. All right, well, so they don't like it. I like it. And I have it in a frame leaning against the wall in my studio next to my easel just because I like looking at it. But, like I said, it's very odd. So there's too much of everything being the same value in this picture. So we're going to change that. And the problem was that I didn't bring enough very lights, so we're going to change this. Yes, I like it. Now it sets back there. You know, all due respect, I can't paint like that. They keep sliding out of my glove, the glove. The glove doesn't want to hold on to them, so oh well. So in the beginning, it's this big crush, and then it's kind of refining and playing and possibly detailing some areas and undetailing some areas. It works so much better with your fingers instead of the gloves. One thing I will say, and I did not bring them, I restrained myself, because if I had brought them, I might have done the whole painting, is my pan pastels. Oh my. I've taken a workshop, several, with Dawn Emerson, and she's a great believer in pan. She turned me on to the pan pastels. And I accidentally had already bought a whole set from my girlfriend her husband was retiring and she had as many art supplies or more than I had. And she said, "Do you want these?" I said, "I don't know, what are they?" She said, "Well, they're pan pastels." And I said, "Well, what do they do?" So she showed me, and I bought the entire set. I mean, I have a full set, and I've added some colors since I added the iridescence of pan pastels. And I will tell you, when you start doing a painting with them, the temptation is to not switch. And I'll show you one that this is coming. You need to take a look at it. But I still need to kill some of that glue.
They just added 34 new pan pastel colors, by the way.
Oh no! Oh yeah, tell me that. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. So here's one that was, except for the very extreme yellow, was completely done with pan pastels. You know, and I can't get that into a show, by the way. Forget that. They don't like it.
Really?
Yeah, with all the ones that Cal in Pastel Society of Mexico does, I can't get a sunset in the ocean. And there's one other one I wanted to show you.
Do you use it mostly for the background, the pan pastels?
No. I want to show you this because I'm in the wrong department here. Hang on. No, I just did something bad. It's P-E, the little E. So every picture, I have a big file and a little file. And the little files are under a megabyte and the big files could be any size, but it doesn't matter. Because you can't do this to me. Well, we'll have to find it some other time. It was a painting that I did. It's a portrait, and I did it completely with pan pastels. And you're just not going to come up from it. Forget it. We'll work on this. This is happening. All right. So do I want to kill some of the blue, or do I like the blue? I could kill it with a little. Just seems like it's a little blue. Maybe that's okay. I don't like that. That didn't work. Back to blue. Let's try this. There's a great color that Great American makes. He's got a bunch of really good blues. Maybe I have some here. They're very gray blues. So I will tell you another little story while I'm trying to find my way through this morass. I started out with I had a set of replicas, and they lived on a screen with little compartments, and the screen was on the bottom, so anywhere you put them, you had to have them on a piece of newspaper because they just leaked this dust all over the place. But I had the set, and then I got a set of brownies, and those are nice, they're small. But then I met Rosalie Nadeau, and I decided we wanted a set. I had some, let me get the name right, the Schmenkis. We bought, you're not gonna believe this, for $1,000, we bought a set of Schmenki pastels, every color that he made at the time, and I've added some since then, including the iridescents. They came in a box with drawers, and they all had compartments with the labels and the numbers and the colors. We got 3 of each stick for $1,000, and we split it. So we got 1.5 sticks each, and it was just wonderful. I felt like I died and went to heaven. Meanwhile, that was in the early 90s. Meanwhile, Great American Bob came out with the Great Americans 1 box at a time. So there were 39 pastels in each box. They came in these cardboard, very simple cardboard boxes, and they had a printed color chart with them and a piece of foam. And every now and then he'd come out with a new box. And Sarah was connected to him because she was teaching and she got a thing to sell them. So every time a new box came out, she and I got the box. And we kept getting the boxes. And I have the full set. And I got another full set. But we got the full set of Great Americans. And I still have, and I decanted them into the box. And now we have, I'm having a problem here. Let me solve this problem. Do you ever try to find a really good yellow ochre in pastels? It's really hard. They're always too dead, or too green, too yellow, too pale, they have put too much white in them. Oh, and we had Kitty Wallace for a workshop on Cape Cod, and we used somebody's basement, and she brought her make your own pastels set of jars of pigment plus white. Ooh, we had so much fun. I still have the jars, but they've dried up a little, so in order to get in there and make more pastels, I'm gonna have to put some kind of, probably distilled water in the jars to get the stuff. It comes like a hard paste, and then she taught us how they do it. They take the original color and they mix it 50% with white, so you can see the color. Some of them are so intense you can't see the color. Then you take that 50% white and you mix it 50% with white, and you keep doing that, and we would make like the 7 values, like Great Americans come in 7 values. We figured it out. We made colors, they didn't exist when she came to visit us. I mean, it was amazing, absolutely amazing. I mean, you couldn't get this color in pastels. When we were doing this, this was way early. You couldn't get that color. You couldn't get a good yellow green. They just didn't make them. Anyhow, so we had fun, and we really made a mess, but we had plastic everywhere, so we were able to clean it up. And that was educational. And she also did a workshop and did a painting and all the rest of it. She's an amazing woman. You don't see much of her stuff around anymore. Is she even still alive? Does anybody know? I don't know. But her stuff was incredible. So, okay, we have to deal with the bush. The bush. Oh yeah, I was going on the Great Americans, the Schmankies. So I had a full set of Schmankies because Rosie and I split one. I acquired the Great Americans because we bought a box every time Bob came out with a new box. And then Terry Ludwig started up. And then, and I'm not saying this is the order that it happened in, I'm saying this is the order that I learned about it on the East Coast, because I was living on Cape Cod. And then I had this student who had I will never know what was wrong, okay? She never told me. But she used to come to my classes, and then she stopped coming, but she called me and asked me if I would come to her house to teach. So as often as she could do it, because she had this problem, I would go over to her house and teach her. You know, we'd have a private pastel class. And then one day her husband called me and said she had died. And all the pastels, would you please come and get them out of here? So I got a full set of Schmankies, a full set of Great Americans, a full set of all 7 boxes of Terry Ludwigs, 2 sets of pastel, the little hard ones, and then Mungo or something, and I got a box with 3 layers in it of those ones I can't remember the name of.
Giraud?
Not Giraud.
Sennelier?
It was Sennelier. Comes in a box this big. It barely fits under my easel. I've hardly ever opened it. 3 layers, 550 pastels. So I doubled up on a whole bunch of stuff. I've given some away. I've sold some. I got some unisons that I already had some unisons, so I got some more unisons. And anyhow, and then I was supposed to go back and get the rest, which were paper, watercolors, and some other stuff, but there was a house fire in the house, and it kind of destroyed the room. She had a studio easel, and she had a whole bunch of stuff. And I didn't ever plan on having it, but it came to me. So, like I said, I've shared some of it, I've sold some of it, I still have some of it. But that's why I have everything. She helped me. I have everything. I couldn't ask, I should never buy another pastel in my life. And I'm grateful, and, I don't know. I don't even know if her husband is still alive. I lost touch with him, and he only lives 10 miles away. All right, the bush. There's that calligraphy again.
Calligraphy.
And I've thought about this painting a lot and never been able to come up with a better solution for this bush, other than just wing it. So I tell my students, don't try to draw the bush, because you won't be happy. I say, let the pastels draw the bush. And one of the things you can do is you can take your pastels and you can take the edge, and it can be a smooth pastel or a hard pastel, and you can just same for grasses. You want to do grass? Just let it happen. And you don't have to get fancy. I mean, you can go through the whole thing of making the correct attachment for the branch, which is here, where the branch bark ridge attaches to the tree, if it's a big tree and you want to get that complicated. But you can just do this wiggly stuff and it works great. Well, I'm an arborist because I know about the branch bark ridge. Anyhow, so we're gonna, we've turned green. So we have this. Oh well.
Your chin too. God, yeah, right
There you
there.
go. So, where are we? We were creating a tree. And I think that the top, I like the fact that the top of the tree is lit. But first we better put in some of the dark. And I'm going to have my tree go off the paper because I think this tree needs to be grounded. Even though the tree in my photo does not go off the paper. Get off the paper, come on. And the best way to do this kind of stuff is don't get too serious, or you'll just make yourself crazy. Okay. Oops. So the tree is lit up here. And we're going to use more than one color orange. And we're not going to make it be all sticks. A lighter shade of pale. bush this is. Next time we go camping, I'm gonna have to figure it out. That was a little much. So the other thing I like to do, the common razor blade. Great tool. You wanna make some brass? Let's make some brass. Sometimes it works and sometimes it works less. Depends on how thick your pastel is. And yes, I really do this. And when I took my pastel box apart, I found this many razor blades in it. It's very funny, but they get buried under the pastels or under the foam, and then they get lost. So, and people are surprised because it doesn't hurt the foam, and it's easier than drawing skinny little lines. And I think if you have enough colors underneath, which I apparently don't, because it isn't working where I want it to work all the time. And if you have too much pastel on and you want to add some over what you've got, you can just go like this. Look at all that stuff going on. But then, you can take, actually I kind of like that. Maybe I don't want to go over it. But you can go back over it. This may be too. No, it's not. You can go over it, and you don't have that problem of, oh, I have too much pastel and now I can't go over it. Oops. I did an oops. Oh, that's the one thing I told when I had my landscaping business on the Cape, I used to tell the people that work for me, don't ever say oops in front of a customer. Because obvious reasons. You just keep them guessing. Oh, I meant to do that. Where's my blue? So I still think it has too much blue. Maybe it's too much blue. Where'd that yellow ochre go? That one. That's too much. That right there. You have to kill that. Because it's dominating the painting. So, what are we going to kill it with? Too much chroma for that space. Because when I look at this, all I see is that. Now that I pointed out to you, probably that's all you want to see. That's all right. We'll fix it. And this might be too dark. Yeah, it's too dark. Yeah. I'll bet you didn't think I had the right value, did you? What I should have done, which I didn't do, is when I used the color, I should have put it all aside on a paper towel or something. So at the end of this, we could have counted how many colors I used. And you probably would be surprised that I probably only used less than 20 on this. Most artists do use less than 25. And I got that number from Gail Sibley, I didn't invent it. She does a weird thing online, I don't know if any of you have come across it. Where are you? What does he call it? Pastel something or other, and it's like a newsletter. And a lot of times it's just commercials for other things, and sometimes it's articles that she's picked up hither and yonder and republishes on her little site. And that's too blue too. We killed that. I'm gonna shoot my blue cake right there. I feel like a bee. How about some of this? So much fun. I like to try things. Every painting is a what if. 10 minutes. Oh my God. Well, I could play on this for a couple more hours, but yeah, you're right. I should stop. So, yes. Kind of like this red in here. Still too blue. It's going to kill me, that color. Let's see. Maybe this will do it. Better. Don't you agree? That's great. So we've killed some of the things that were popping out. We've, let me add one. Kind of like this little guy here. This is an echo. Trying not to be too realistic. And you know the thing, I know that you're all here as a member of the Pastel Society of Colorado, so you've been exposed to a lot of this stuff. When people start out painting, and you tell them, you really, need to not make everything the same distance apart, and the same size, and the same width, and the same. Okay, so we're gonna touch this up a little bit here. And get that nasty glue to come down into here. See, it's not always additive, sometimes it's subtractive. And I'm gonna call it quits, or do something really stupid. Things not being the same, I see something that I can't leave. Right there, so I'm gonna come up here into it and attach it to that. And just give it a little diversion. And that kind of keeps it in the picture. And this is green. I didn't believe it, but I put a green in there. All right, yeah, just keep it away from it. I'm done.
So, if people can stay, could we do question and answers for a little bit? Sure. And then everybody get a chance to take a picture of the picture.